Hey YouTubers, how we doing? Weekend's over. It's Monday morning. Going back out to do some wrenching on the trike, and I stay on my way home. Actually, this morning on my way home, someone was throwing out the guts of a pool, so I got some more steel from my metal hoard to make stuff out of. And I'll go take you for a walk over there and show you what we got for accomplishments, I guess we'll call it, from yesterday. I was playing with it till about 11 o'clock at night. Of course, the metal pile is growing. Even more, the metal pile is growing. I've been chopping in and hacking. So, here's what we got. I guess we'll start with the seat. I ended up mounting that seat on there. It's just tacked right now. And I put a set of tractor springs on the back side of it, and that gives me a bunch of bounce on there to take some of the rear out of it. And I found some old barn hinges down in my basement, and I think they're going to become the sissy bar. They're just tacked on there right now, but I kind of like the way they look. Just different. Might add something to the top of the tail of it. And there's just like two of them, one mounted up by the seat and the other one coming off by the jack shaft, supporting each other, and put a little tail on the end of it. I tried a couple of different things. Nothing I really liked. I'm still not even 100% sold on that, but I like that the best so far. So, and then moving on to the front end, I made me a kind of looking, it's a cross between a Springer front end and a conventional, all made out of bike parts. I ended up cutting the factory front end. I probably knocked off about I don't know, 4 inches out of it, and then added that setup on there. So we probably got about another 4 inches of height, overall height on the bike. These are just some, like, you know, imitation rock shocks off a kid's bike. And then on the inside, I had them run up. They probably ran up to about here. But then I have another pipe sleeved down into these to about right here. There's a piston on the inside of it that travels about 3 inches. So I ran it down to about an inch from there. So there's a solid pipe going in there, and it crosses with another pipe. So there's actually 3 layers inside here. 2 at this point, 3 at this point. And they come all the way up to right here, and if you can see where my finger is, I drilled a hole and I plug welded the top to make sure the top was pretty stiff. So these by themselves are working as regular shocks, and then I kind of wanted to add to it a little bit. You got to tie the two sides of them together. So this was the sissy bar off the crappier seat that I cut off, and I just retacked it to the original hoop, I guess you call it, that was on there. It probably stopped about this high. And then the bike had a spring between the front and the back half of the bike, so I cut that out of there and I stole that spring, which is adjustable. And the hoop that was down here that went across with a smaller tire on it, I reused up here to tie in back to the frame. And so that's what you see on that setup there. Actually works pretty good. So that's those guys. The bike sits a lot taller than it did. I said that, you know, the front end's 4 inches longer now, so that raised the bike up somewhat. Plus the seat is sitting higher. It was wrapped around the frame pretty good. But so be it. I like the look of it lower, but need to make everything fit in there at the same time. Fuel tanks. I went through so many different, actually made a video just on what I was trying to use for different gas tanks. And you kind of see over here, a friend gave me a expansion tank. I was looking at like whatever crap I can kind of dig up for you know, just odd looking tanks. A couple of water bottles like I did on the other bike. I was looking into antique fire extinguishers, all that kind of stuff. I ended up going with this setup. The little one I had laying around, that one's going to go right there, and that's going to be the oil tank for the 2-cycle oil. And then I grabbed 2 of the larger quart thermos tanks from went to Walmart. Actually spent 13 bucks a piece. I got 2 of them, and they're going to go up on the frame head here, 1 on each side, like there and there. So I'm going to go make those mounts up for that right now. And there'll be my fuel tank along with the original pedcock for it had a reserve and a on position, and it had 2 fuel lines, so it went to 2 different positions of the tank. So I will tap into each one of those. Will be one will be the on, and the other tank will be reserve, so to speak. So I got a quart of fuel for each one of those. So a half gallon of fuel on this will be fine. You know, that should give it 50 miles, maybe 40-50 miles. Plus they got a big throat on them to fill them up, so it's easy. I can stop at a gas station and gas the things up. A couple of the other things I was thinking of was like a fire extinguisher, the map, like maybe a map gas and a propane gas tank, but they were kind of small. I was thinking about using those and hollowing them out and putting fittings on them. I like it. I wish it was a little bit lower, but that's okay. I need to keep moving on. I want to get it done. I stopped at a yard sale on Sunday, and I picked this thing up. A little Jiffy Jack. Basically, it's a little hand-operated scissor jack. Goes up to 18 inches tall. It's great for working on the lift. Along with I grabbed a whole bunch of more vice grip clamps. They were 2 for $5. I grabbed 6 more of those. Like I need more. I was working on this, and I have a seat over here. I call it a flashback or a memory or whatever you want to call it. I had a thought of I remember I was about 8 years old, and it was the winter time, and I was down in the basement of my parents' house, and I had my bike. And my dad always had stuff laying around the garage down in the basement. You know, not just like a typical homeowner. You know, you got a spare. He had a spare electric motor for, I don't know what it was for. Probably a washing machine or a dryer or something like that. So I took my bike and proceeded to, if you can find a bike to go take a look at. So look at this frame right here. Of course this is upside down. I remember being a kid, as I said, I was about 8. I had vice grips and a piece of a hacksaw blade, and I cut the frame out here and here, and I stuck the motor right in the middle of it, and I believe I used a whole roll of duct tape to hold it in place. I don't ever think that project made it much further than that, but I remember that was probably my first attempt at making something like this, and I forgot all about it until I started doing this again. Maybe it's just you know, why I started getting into these is just a past passion as a kid, and at 8 years old you don't have the capacity or the talent to kind of to do this stuff, and you know, now I find myself doing it, maybe just reliving my young childhood. But I gotta say, it's kind of fun because for me, if you work with garbage, like this is all just literally was just junk that people were throwing out that were on the side of the road. I think one of the bikes I paid $5 for at a yard sale. Other than that, everything was just, you know, pretty much free, except for the Schwinn bikes. I bought the 2 Schwinn bikes. One was $40, and I think the other one was $60, something like that, or $30 and $60, and then $10 for the scooter. But anyway, the fact that it's a bunch of garbage allows me free will just to start chopping the thing up and have as I want, and kind of go, and if it goes awry and falls apart and turns into a piece of junk, no harm, no foul. We just kind of throw it all up in the back of the truck and bring it to the metal scrap yard, and you know, get $30 for the steel that's left over. But I couldn't do that with new stuff. I couldn't take a new Harley and chop it up and cut it up. I would be afraid I'd be losing the value of something. But having this stuff to play with, kind of losing my train of thought, but I guess you guys understand where I'm getting at. Is it allows me that mental freedom just to look at something and just chop off the forks to the front end or the motor out of it, and just kind of have a free, I guess you call it artistic will of making something out of nothing. If I was 8 years old, actually if I was 14 years old, and I rode around like something like this. You imagine being a kid and cruising around, something like that? We're saying you built it. Yeah, they're just different. This one I'm trying to like stay straight. There you go. Really, go back in time and bring that with you. Wear that. Alright guys, I just wanted to give you a little catch up on what I was up to. I'm going to start working on those brackets to mount the fuel tanks, and then I need to do some supporting on the rear fenders here, what I want to do. They originally had them attached real low down here. I just caught the front bolt, shifted the whole fender forward. I'm probably going to come off with a rod. I'll bolt a washer there, and I'll come back with a rod, and I'll make those my two supports for the fenders. So I'm going to give her a couple more hours. I got some other work to do on other people's stuff, but I want to play with this a little bit longer while it's still on the lift. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and catch you on the next one. Bye.